Hey you, did you know getting sick, being ill, chronically or otherwise, causes grief? Grief is just a funny character. Grief shows up in so many different ways, in so many certain circumstances that sometimes we don't even know that it's grief. So today I'm even speaking with you as someone who has a chronic illness through autoimmune disorders. Actually, today I'm still trying to recover from a cold, not COVID, but a cold. And I have been in discussions with a lot of people who experience frequent illnesses, long-term illnesses, or chronic illnesses. And sometimes what they're experiencing isn't necessarily just anger or frustration. It's actually a symptom of grief. So, if grief comes with illness, what do you do about that? I think step number one is just to acknowledge that most likely what you're feeling, besides the ramifications of chronic illnesses or long-term illness, is that what you might be experiencing is actually grief. First, acknowledge it. The second thing is to think about how you can express yourself so that grief can move through. It's kind of like a child. It needs to be acknowledged and it needs an outlet, and so does your grief. So something like painting or writing, or perhaps doing some kind of physical activity. Maybe it's writing poetry about it. It just needs some kind of expression, an outlet. It could also be connecting with a loved one or a good friend to talk about it. And then the last one is to practice some type of mindfulness. Now, I don't necessarily mean meditation, although meditation is a really great tool to mitigate illness or chronic illnesses. So meditation is a good thing, but mindfulness is more about practicing presence with yourself, being in the moment. So being in the moment with your friend, your child, your parent, being in the moment when you're outside, or if you're inside, like what are the things that you can feel, see, smell, taste, touch? And so just being present in the moment is mindfulness. And so that's a third way to think about mitigating the grief that comes with chronic illness or long-term illness. I'd love to hear from you. What are ways that you continue to mitigate your chronic or long-term illnesses and moving through the grief that you might be experiencing?